back to Vegans, Veggies, and Vibes. My name is Karis.
And I'm Amarais.
And today we're making falafel, Mediterranean bowls, things.
Yes. Very exciting. We're going to show you how to make the falafel first. Because the falafel dough has to sit for a couple hours or overnight, we're going to be making the entire batch of falafel dough for everyone who gets a meal kit from Vegans, Veggies, and Vibes. So we'll be showing you that. So the ingredients will be enough for 72 falafel as opposed to like the 3 or 4 you will be receiving in the recipe. But yeah, so let's get started.
All right, to start off, we're gonna need to mince up our parsley, like our onions, everything, so we can start throwing things into the food processor to make our falafel dough. Chopping up 1 bundle right now.
Okay.
See where that gets us. Mincing that baby.
So while Karis is chopping, I'm going to start taking our industrial size can of chickpeas and blending them up in the food processor. You don't want it to be like a paste. We're just looking for them to be broken up and chunky. This recipe calls for dried chickpeas. However, you can substitute for canned chickpeas, which is what we're doing because frankly, I don't like working with dried beans. I think it's a lot harder. So the recipe calls for blending them mostly together, but because of the amount we're doing it in stages. So Karis will be blending all of the basically not chickpea things together, and I'll be doing just the chickpeas.
So in this food processor, since we're kind of like cutting this up, chopping this up in parts, this has all of our parsley, onion, and an ungodly amount of garlic cloves. So don't worry about vampires because we've got you. Also very important as you use food processors and stuff is to scrape down the sides, you know, make sure you get everything mixed well, mixed in. I think that's about as good as we can get it.
Yeah. So this is the consistency of our chickpeas. As you can see, it's like a mush, but not a full paste. There's definitely some chunks in there. And then our parsley and onion and garlic mixture. There we go.
Kind of like a relish or a salsa. I don't really like touching that. It's kind of gross. Oh, it smells good though. Never mind. It's really strong. It smells really strong.
Yeah. So now I'm adding in our ground coriander, cayenne, and cardamom. And it is the same amount of each. It calls for 3 pinches, so I'm just going to be eyeballing it. When you open a new spice, it's really powdery, like this ground coriander.
Real condensed and everything.
Yeah, you have to kind of keep shaking it.
Whew. Okay, so as I'm combining this paste, it's our just too much chickpea, like a whole industrial size can. We have all the parsley, onion, spices, all of that. Kind of just like massaging it into the paste here, mixing it so it's evenly kind of distributed through. You don't want to see any more like powdery flour or like any like big chunks of green. You kind of want it to be evenly dispersed through the chickpeas and make this like dough stuff.
Yeah.
My arm is very tired.
And the nice thing is, this is a clean spoon. Because this is all cooked or just vegetables, you can try it to make sure that all the seasonings are correct.
I don't think we put any salt and pepper in this. Any salt?
Oh, we could definitely use salt. You want to try it? Almost gross. It needs salt so bad.
It's almost gross.
Well, it doesn't even have salt in the recipe. That needs salt though. You see what I mean? Oh. So now I'm just adding some salt for flavor. So we tasted it and it needed a little more of, I think, everything. It was a little on the bland side. So we are mixing in all the stuff and we'll continue to taste with fresh spoons and mix. And the nice thing about this mixture is that basically to make a falafel is chickpeas. So you can be adding and changing out any of the spices that you want. So now this is all mixed. We're gonna set it in the fridge for an hour to chill before we make the actual falafel and show you how to do that. the longer you let something sit in the fridge up to a certain amount of time, the longer the flavors have to like incorporate and kind of like get to know you is one of my favorite phrases to explain it. But it just allows everything to kind of meld together better. So when you guys get this on Wednesday, it will be absolutely delicious. Today is Sunday, so that will be a great amount of time for it to sit.
Mm-hmm.
So for the salad itself, we're going to be putting tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce mix in for the falafel to go on top of. And then for our sauce, we have this tahini mix. Tahini is vegan and lovely. It's made from sesame seeds and will give everything a nice nutty flavor. All right, guys, welcome back. Our falafel dough has been in the fridge for an hour. And so now we're getting all of our salad components ready. The first thing we're doing is putting our quinoa on the stove. We have a half cup of quinoa and a cup of miso.
We were kind of out of a broth concentrate for, cooking our quinoa in. So we opted for miso this time, which I think will provide an interesting flavor.
Yeah, I think that should be really good because miso is a nice umami, salty flavor, which isn't necessarily a big part of Mediterranean cooking, but I think we'll add some really delicious components to that. And that's a mat burner. On this burner, it's kind of hard to see because it's dark, but we have a cast iron. And so we're gonna heat that up with some oil in it and get ready to fry our falafel. Now, most of the time, I'm gonna put this on medium heat. Most of the time when you guys are watching us cook, it's stuff that Karis and I already know how to do, but falafel is one thing that is new to both of us. So, as Karis said, the blind are gonna be leading the blind on this one.
Okay.
So now is actually kind of a great time to talk about different pans for different uses. So if you'll notice, we have a cast iron out for this. Cast iron is really great for frying things because it is thicker, and thicker metal will hold heat better and be cooked more evenly. Also, because it's a seasoned surface, meaning it has that like beautiful oil glaze that is traditional with a cast iron. Yeah, it does a better job of creating a crust on things like that. You can most definitely use like an aluminum pan. I would not suggest frying things in a non-stick pan. That's not what non-stick is meant for, and it can oftentimes hurt your non-stick because the process of frying will leave stuff on the non-stick and scrubbing it off will be ridiculous. For something like this, you can take steel wool to that and you're not going to hurt it. That's like the point. So that's why we are using a cast iron. So this is our cast iron on the stove. We have oil in there warmed up. And
in this pot, we have some quinoa that's just steaming away, getting ready for our assembly later.
And we have the heat turned off and the lid on so it can sit there and steam. And so now we are going to fry our dough.
So I have, from our dough that we mixed earlier, I have just about like a tablespoon worth, like just enough to like fill like the center of your palm. This might even be like kind of large, but you want like a sort of thin patty since you're doing the pan fry here. I'm gonna drop it in the hot oil. Be careful not to burn yourself. I'm gonna try to do 3 falafel patties at a time. Just with that same, scoop it out, about that tablespoon, into your palm and make a disc. Just kind of roll it around in your hands and flatten it out.
And once your falafel is in the pan, don't mess with them until you have formed a nice crust on the bottom. And that's the same for when you're frying anything. If you were a big meat eater before eating vegan food, it's the same idea with eating meat. Like if you're cooking a steak, you want that nice crust to form before you flip it over. And you know it's ready when you go to stick your spatula and there's nothing sticking. And that's the main reason for the crust.
Patty, center of your palm. Don't throw it in the hot oil because throwing things in hot oil is never a good thing. Very lightly and boom. You're gonna do 3 minutes on each side about?
Yeah, we're gonna watch it. And the nice thing is, I don't know how well you're able to see it, but you can start to see it brown on the edges, and that's when you'll know that it's done. On this one, you can already start to see the brown on the very edge, which means the crust is forming. Like you can kind of start to see it. There's like a nice little halo of brown around the edges, and look how easily that picks up. Oh, that's a beautiful brown. So I'm just gonna go and flip these all over and let them continue to cook. Look at that beautiful brown. And you can see that crust I was talking about. So we tried frying these on like a medium heat, and they came out well, and the inside was a little doughy, and we fried these on a low heat and are getting kind of the same result. And that's just because, like, if you look at a normal falafel is a little more bready, and it's because we're pan frying it as opposed to deep frying it or baking it. So if you don't like this inside kind of soft texture, I would suggest sticking it in the oven at like 350 for a little bit. These are going to be a little doughy on the inside, but look at that outside. Like, it's nice and crisp and gorgeous. And these are done. They cook pretty fast. If you were making like a large batch of these, I would definitely recommend baking. But since it's a single serving, that's why we're having you pan fry things. Once you take them out, put them on a plate with a paper towel on top to soak up the oil and sprinkle some salt on top. And you're ready to go and assemble your bowl.
All right, so to start by making off your bowls, we're gonna start with some quinoa in your bowl. And then you can kind of get crazy here. We're gonna throw in some nice greens. So I'm gonna get some lettuce stacked in there. You do lettuce. We're doing lettuce, onions, cucumber, parsley, tomatoes. We have some tahini to throw on along with our falafel. And yeah, so it's all about, I don't know, at this point for me, it's just about making it pretty, but that is a personal preference. All right, and this here is gonna be your completed bowl. So in ours, we have lettuce, cucumber, tomato, red onions, the falafel. Underneath we have some quinoa. You can literally, some parsley too, just to, for flavor. And I have some like tahini sauce. So in the package, like the meal kit, you're gonna find some cucumber, tomato, onions, parsley, lettuce, that kind of stuff. But if you wanted to add other things to your bowl, like Kalamata olives or different like other Mediterranean sauces, or if you don't want your bowl to be vegan or don't care, you could put like feta cheese or other cheeses. Many different things can make up your bowl, but yeah. So try to make some food art and make something yummy.
Yeah, and post a picture on Instagram and tag Westwood House on Instagram so we can see all the beautiful food you've cooked.
Enjoy!